WPHT, WPHT-HD, WOGL HD3 Philadelphia. From the Cherry Hill Volvo Studios, where relationships matter. Always live on the free Odyssey app. This is Investor Schooling Live with your host, Larry Steinhouse, CEO of Investor Schooling.
All right. Good morning and welcome to Investor Schooling Live. Hey, Investor Schooling Live is transmitting from the Investor Schooling Studios here in the Investor Schooling headquarters. By the way, I'm Larry Steinhouse. I am the CEO of Investor Schooling. I want to thank you for listening in and get ready to learn real estate investing, stock options trading, and so many more things about money that I bet you didn't know. Hey, you can call anytime during the show with your questions at 855-939-1137. Give me a call, 855-939-1137, and listen, it's a live program, so you can call about anything or call me anytime during the show, and we'll take your call. Hey, don't worry about the topics. We'll take your call. We'll answer questions. Anything about money, we're live on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube, and you can leave comments there as well. Hey, if you're watching online, by the way, please say hi in the comments. In Investor Schooling, we teach real estate investing, stock options trading, how to save money in taxes, how to be financially free, and we even give you the motivation to make money work for you instead of you working for money. Investor Schooling is located in Bucks County, Pennsylvania, right off the Newtown Bypass, serving the New Jersey and greater Philadelphia areas in a real brick-and-mortar building. Our students are also located in several states with our exclusive web access to classes and seminars. Hey, get ready to learn something new. Get ready to learn the business of entrepreneurship, real estate investing, and stock options trading from your friendly neighborhood financial expert. That's me, Larry Steinhouse. All right. Hello, everybody. I'm so excited you guys are here. Oh, I got Tommy coming in from Buffalo. He's saying hi online. He's saying happy Saturday. Is it Saturday, Tommy? I don't even know anymore. I do shows every single day now, except Sunday, and we do a repeat on Sunday. So I do shows every day now, so I don't even know what day it is anymore. But thank you for wishing me a happy Saturday, Tommy. I'm so excited. I actually saw Tommy the other day. He attended an event that we had last week. We had a really great event. We had a whole bunch of people here. We talked about finances. We talked about being your own bank. I tell you something. This is an amazing thing to do. Being your own bank. Wow. Being your own bank is something that is something so different than anyone ever thought of. You can actually take your own money and lend it to yourself and then pay yourself back in interest. Now, you're thinking, well, don't I have to have money to do that? Well, yeah, you do, but you don't need as much as you think, which is really neat. And we teach people how to do that as well. We also were talking about, we actually broke into mastermind sections, little mastermind sections, and we had a good time with that, where we all talked about different issues. Some of them were trusts. So it was almost like a phone call in. So like people just had the option to ask a question, and we broke into mastermind meetings, and we talked about that. That was a lot of fun. So if you ever come to Investor Schooling, and if you've been on the fence to come to Investor Schooling, get over here already. What is wrong with you? Come over here. First of all, the class is free. Come Thursday night for free. And a lot of people ask, like, well, how much does it cost after that? You know what my response is to that? Hey, Glenn, I got to ask you a question, right? Are you there, Glenn?
Yes, I am.
Did you like my book?
I did enjoy it immensely.
All right. So my book, for you guys who don't know, is called Money Hacks. So it's all about all the different things we teach at Investor Schooling, and it costs you a whole $20 to order it on Amazon. I suggest you order it. You guys will really, really like it. But here's something interesting. Our class is free on Thursday, and actually you come to a real class. It's not a sales pitch. We even tell you leave your wallet home. I don't care. You don't come to a sales pitch. You come to an actual class, and in that actual class, we're going to teach you something. I don't know what it is because every week it's different, but we're going to teach you something. And it's funny because people go, well, how much is it after that? I'm like, listen, if you can't afford the free class, you can't afford it. Just show up for the free class. If you show up for the free class and learn something, you at least leave here with some knowledge. And that's why we tell people, oh, by the way, Tommy's telling me that he's not in Buffalo. He's in Binghamton. I mixed up my B's with him. So I'm sorry about that. And Mike's saying hi, too, online. Hey, you guys, why don't you guys call in? Hey, Tommy, do me a favor. Call in, 855-939-1137, 855-939-1137. Tell us both your experience with Investor Schooling and even your experience last week when you came to the event. By the way, Glenn, we were supposed to have some people from that event. We were going to interview them. We got a time mix-up. It is what it is. Those things happen. So we didn't really get to interview those people.
Yeah, I thought you were mad at me.
Who was mad at you?
I thought you were mad at me.
Oh, I was really mad at you.
Well, you're always mad at me.
I'm always mad at everybody. Doesn't know that? Doesn't know? Don't you know that I'm always mad at everybody? That's what everybody says. They are like, he is such a bi, begins, rhymes with witch.
I don't know. You seem very jovial and easygoing to me. Very gregarious.
Well, I am, but unless you cross me.
Exactly.
If you cross me, I get mad.
Well, that's what I felt like last week. I was getting these really. Larry was supposed to have guests from his event last week, and that wasn't happening. And I didn't know you were at the event. I didn't put it together, and you were sending me these really terse messages.
Well,
what was going on? And I'm like, oh gosh, what?
It wasn't that bad. Come on, wait a minute. I still have a record of those messages. I want to see what they said because
they don't say anything. But usually you're very friendly and you're joking around. I was like, oh, Larry's not joking.
They were just short. That's all. Because I was
right.
They were just short because yeah, you're right. I was in the middle of my event and I'm like and I'm watching a whole bunch of different things, doing different. So yeah, they were just really short. You're right.
So then I'm working up this whole paranoid scenario in my mind. I'm like, Larry's mad at me. What is he mad at me for? I didn't do anything. F that guy.
Yeah, but Glenn, you do that. You get excited when with everybody. I mean, I know this about you. You need to relax and look at the best case scenario, not the worst case scenario.
You're right, and I've actually learned that as I've gotten older in life. You'll give people the benefit of the doubt once in a while.
Yeah,
the people
exactly.
I work with, they're so ready to assume the worst about people, and sometimes it is the worst. But other times, you don't know what people are dealing with. You don't know what's going on. So just give people the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, there's actually a story if you ever read. By the way, so I like these motivational books. And there's a story about in Steve Covey's book, and it starts out. It's one of the first things. The seven rules of success or something. I can't remember what it was. And he starts out the book talking about a woman who is in a mall. I'm sorry, a man who's in a mall, and he's sitting there, and he's just sitting there, and he's in a complete daze. And his kids are running around, and they're with him, and they're running around and making all kinds of noise, and they're disturbing everyone in the mall, and he's just sitting there and he's staring at them. And meanwhile, the people in the mall are getting really, really upset about this, and they're getting more and more upset about it. And finally, somebody sits down and goes, "Hey, those are your kids running around. Why don't you do something about it?" And he looks at the person. He says, "I just got a phone call that my wife died in a car accident, and I don't know what to say to them." Doesn't that change the perspective?
Yeah. Well, I actually did a TikTok about that. I actually did a TikTok where I'm pretending to hold the door for someone, and I'm all angry that they didn't say thank you. And so I chastise them, and then the person says, "Oh, yeah, my mom just got run over by a mule in a stampede. I'm a little distracted." So it's kind of the same thing.
You made
don't
that
know
up,
what
though.
people.
This was supposedly a real story.
Is that a true story?
I'm really thinking that a mule in a stampede would not really happen.
Well, yeah, because I was playing it for laughs.
Yeah,
but,
I got you. By the way, I watched one of your TikTok videos
same.
recently. I know we're so off topic, but it's so funny. I watched one of your YouTube videos, your TikTok videos, and it was entitled something like "What's Going On in Doctors' Offices in 2022." And of course, you want to know the reason I watched it, right? Because it's the title. And the first thing I'm thinking is, oh, he's going to start complaining about people wearing masks in doctors' offices.
Yeah, well, the title was planned very carefully because I knew that people like you would click on it,
right?
Because of that.
Because I can't go to a doctor's office still because they make me wear a mask. I won't. I refuse. Absolutely refuse. I wore a mask for a whole 30 minutes the entire pandemic, or scamdemic as I call it. So
well,
that never really happened.
I'll tell you, Larry, when you go to the doctor's office, depending on where you go, a lot of the people working there barely have the mask on.
Oh, yeah. Well, my doctor lets me come in without a mask. He's very funny because he walks into the room wearing the mask, and then as soon as he sits down, he takes it off. He goes, "Yeah, it's you. I could do this."
Yeah. A lot of the people in the waiting room will have the masks half on, and I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but it's just I don't know why they're keeping the pretense up of having to wear the mask, since even the people working there aren't doing it.
I got it. Hey, actually, I got a question online. So, maybe I should talk about money since I've got 1 hour to talk about money before. Actually, I'm on my way. I'm actually going to Orlando, Florida. And the reason I'm going to Orlando, Florida is because I'm going to have I'm going to a bunch of seminars this week about marketing and making more money, because I always do that. I learn and learn and learn. So I only got an hour here. So real quick, Mike has a question online. With CD rates going up, would you park some money in there? Maybe. The answer is maybe. So what's happening now is everything's changing. you guys saw another horrible day in the stock market on Friday. Horrible week. We're now down. We're now down at the lowest point. The stock market is now down at the lowest point it's been in a year, which is terrible, of course. And so now people are like wondering, what do you do with your money? And it's funny because I actually did this on my radio show the other day. My other show on Friday, I actually talked about this. I'm like, maybe it's time to start moving money into bonds and maybe start moving money into maybe like Mike says with CDs. And it might be. And I might wait a little bit longer, Mike, because the CD rates will probably go up again. Well, they're definitely going to go up another half point to 3/4 point next Fed report. So you may get a little bit more money. So you might want to just wait a little bit. But the real question is, what do you do till then? And now we have, the Dow hit a low of 29,250 on Friday, which is insanity. That's a 52-week low. It hasn't been that low in a year. It hasn't been that low. Well, unless you talk about the scamdemic, it hasn't been that low in, I don't know, really long time. As a matter of fact, it's right at the point before the scamdemic, which is what I've been saying the whole time. If you guys listen to anything I talk about and listen to my other show, I've been saying that everything's going to go back to pre-scamdemic numbers, which is right around July 2020-ish. Or not even July 2020. I'm talking about. Not July. I'm talking about June. Like right around. Let me go back to my brain here. Right around 2019 and 2020, right before the scamdemic really got bad. So we have those pre-numbers, and it's going to start hitting those numbers again. And 27,000 will probably be where it'll end up, and hopefully it'll maintain those numbers and then go to the normal. It'll normally progress up. It moved up too fast. It'll normally progress up. So again, with do you put your money in CD? It might not be a bad idea to put some money there. If you're scared, certainly do it. If you're also scared, there's other places you can put it, like bonds, or another one is dividend-paying stocks. So there's a couple of dividend-paying stocks like AT&T right now, which is paying a really nice dividend. So you can leave it there. Hold on one second. Let me see what the dividend is now. It's 16. That stock's at 16. Ugh, I'm going to cry. I bought it at 18, of course. So its dividend now at that price is almost 7%. So if you buy this stock, you pay $16 a share for it, they're going to give you a dividend of about $1.11 per year, and that's not bad. That's a dividend yield of 6.93%. I'll tell you what, that's fantastic numbers. So it maybe you move your money there, and then if you don't learn anything about selling covered calls, you buy the stock at 16, you get the dividend, and then you sell the covered calls over and over again. And you can make a couple extra bucks. You could probably make about 10 to 15% on your money. Maybe not that high. Maybe 10 to 11% on your money every year, after year after year, if you do this carefully by just buying a very safe stock called AT&T. So there are ways to do that, Mike. If you want to do it that way, that would be a way to do it. Hey, by the way, if anybody else wants to call about anything, any questions about anything, 855-939-1137, 855-939-1137. Come on, I'm here alone. Somebody call in and talk to me. It's so quiet in my studio all alone here. I got to listen to Glenn in my ear from PHT. So for you guys don't know, we're actually live in our studios, and we connect to WPHT, and Glenn is our wonderful engineer. We also have Mike Kuiper here, who is our engineer, in-house engineer, who runs the show from here. So all these guys do all this work, and all I do is talk. I have to say one thing. I work the hardest because I'm doing all the talking. Right, Glenn?
You're ruining the theater of the mind of radio. People are supposed to believe that I'm right there with you sharing a cup of Joe, and now you've shattered the illusion that we are miles apart.
I'm just trying to impress them because, Glenn, you need to come see our studio. Our studio
I want to.
rivals your
I
studio.
want to.
It rivals your studio. I'm telling you, this is a real studio. We built this thing. I built this thing actually. I undertook it and I built this thing, and it's just amazing. Right now it's a little messy, but it's amazing actually. And we have, for you guys who are watching online, we have the video online as well, and it's also pretty amazing. If you want to take a look, actually, why don't you show them the studio, Mike? Show them the picture of the studio, so the guys watching online can see the picture of the studio. And if you're not watching online, oh well, so bad, too bad. So that's the studio, and you can see. Oh, it looks like maybe that camera's out. Maybe he can't do it. That's fine. Oh, there we go. You can see there's the studio, and it's pretty wild. It's a pretty wild studio. It's the lights a little off on that camera, but that's fine. But you can see we have the best microphones. We have the same microphones as you guys have over there. Because actually when I went to your studio, I said if they're using these microphones, I want these microphones. And
You're
then
going to run us out of business.
Yeah, exactly. And then you can't see. It looks like there's a mirror back there, but it's not a mirror. It's actually the room to the to our engineer room, which is where Mike is hiding back there. You can't see him because of the way the light is in here. It makes it look like that glass is a mirror, but it's not really a mirror. All right, so that's it. We now talked about the studio. We now talked about a little bit of CDs. I'll tell you what, I would like to see if we could talk about something very interesting. So, look, guys know that I'm a real estate investor. And right now you guys are probably going, hey, what's going on here? What's going on here? What's going on in the real estate market? Is the real estate market is it a good time to invest? Should I wait? Blah, blah, blah. These are always the questions. So right now, if you have a house that you're living in and you want to sell it because you want to move, just sell it. Yeah, you're going to get a little bit less than you did this last spring, which is exactly what I said. I said last year, I said it was going to be the best year. I said this is going to be the last best year or the last good year, and exactly what happened. Come this spring, it's going to be dropping a little bit more than it is now. But if you have a house, you need to move. Stop worrying about the price of the house you live in. As long as you can afford it, and as long as you can afford the mortgage, go move, go buy a house, go do whatever you want. Now, as a real estate investor, it's completely different. So the house I live in, which actually, I could rent any time for a lot more than I pay for it a month. But if I wanted to move, I would just do that. And you should always buy that. You should buy, if you're a real estate investor, you should buy a house with that in mind, that if you do decide to move, what can you do with your primary residence? And the answer should always be rent it, unless there's other circumstances that won't allow you to do that. But I would try to make that work. But now if you're trying to buy investment properties, right now, it's still a good time to buy investment properties. Last year, it was still a good time to buy investment properties. I'm buying about 3 properties a year now. I'm not buying as much as I used to. So I buy about 3 properties a year. Matter of fact, actually, it's funny because actually not only this year, do I usually buy that many, I'm actually buying more this year. I'm actually buying 3 in October, literally buying 3 in October. So that would be a lot right there. But you can buy properties. You just have to find the right property. And if the numbers make sense, it doesn't matter. The absolute worst place you could look for properties is the MLS. And this is what a lot of lazy investors try to do, or new investors try to do. They go to the multiple listing service. They go to Zillow. They go to Redfin, whatever websites there are, and they go, oh, look, there's a property. I think I'll buy it. It's in a nice neighborhood. Well, that's the absolute worst way to buy properties. If you're buying property on speculation, you're going to lose money. It's almost inevitable that you're going to lose money if you're buying on speculation. Now, you're going to say, well, if I hold it long enough, I might make money. Yeah, you might, and it might. And as a matter of fact, the odds are that in 10 years, it'll be close to double what you paid for it, believe it or not. So if you buy a property today for about $300,000, in 10 years, it's probably going to be around $500,000. That's just how property values go up. That's normal inflation. That's a whole other issue. We'll talk about that in a minute. But that's how property values go up. They go up. So you'll definitely be able to make money there. But the real problem is, can you hold the property if you're paying mortgage payments that are more than your rent? And I see this all the time. I see people they come into investor schooling. It's the first time there. They pull me on the side. They go, hey, listen, I got these 2 investment properties, and I'm losing money on both of them. And I'm thinking, my first thing is, how could you possibly be losing money on both of them? And sure enough, they're going to give me numbers. They give me numbers of properties that they bought that didn't make any sense. And I said, who told you to buy these? And the answer is always the same thing. My real estate agent told me it was a good idea to buy these properties because the value is going to go up. And then they laugh, and they I shouldn't say they laugh, they're almost in tears. They say, and the property value is not even going up, or it's not going up enough to make up the difference. I'm like, I know. Why would you ever buy a property that doesn't make sense from the numbers? So here's a quick tip. So if you're listening and you like real estate investing, or you think you want to get into real estate investing, here's a quick tip. When you're going to buy a property, the price of the property, the price you're going to pay for a property, let's say it's $100,000, if the monthly rent is at least 1% of the price of the property, it's probably going to work out. It's probably going to be a good cash flowing property. For example, if you're buying a property for $100,000 and it pays you $1,000 a month, most likely those numbers will work out. And it'll probably be about $175 to $225 worth of profit in there, assuming there's nothing weird in the property. That'll probably be that. But remember, here's another thing, because I've had people say to me, oh, I did that, it didn't work. I'm like, what do you mean you did that, it didn't work? Yeah, well, I had to put $80,000 into the property. I said, then you didn't pay $100,000 for the property. You paid $180,000 for the property. So make sure that number includes all repairs that you have to put into the property. That makes the difference. So So after you renovate it, what does the property cost? For example, I recently bought a property. It cost me less than $100,000. The property was a really good deal, actually. It cost me less than $100,000, and it's probably gonna cost me about, I don't know, 30 to 50,000 to renovate it. I'm not even sure. I don't even care. So that property is, let's say I go over budget at 75,000. So that property ends up costing me 175,000 all in, right? So that means I have to rent it for at least $1,750 just for the numbers to possibly work out. The reality is I'm going to be renting that property for around $2,600. So that's a really, really good deal. I know that. I don't even need to do the math. I don't even need to, okay, how much is my rent? How much is my mortgage payment? How much is my repairs? How much do I put away for blah, 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 blah. It doesn't matter. As soon as I do that, what's called the 1% rule, and as long as my rent is over 1% or over, I know it's going to work out. 1% is usually, I still want to just, quickly make sure there's nothing extra. Sometimes there's association fees, and that might hurt me too. But as long as there's nothing extra major, I'm fine with it. It's going to work. In this case, like I said, that one's a grand slam. If I could buy the property that cheap, renovate it, and then rent it for $2,500 or even $2,600, it's a fantastic property. Now, some people might say, hey, why don't you sell that property? Because I could probably get, I don't know, maybe I'll get $300,000 for it. I don't know. If I put in $150 and I get $300,000, I doubled my money. Why not sell it? Well, because here's the answer, right? Now, there are a lot of people who do that, flips. I mean, you see these shows on TV, they're making these flips, which is great. I have no problem with that. And look, after real estate commissions and blah, 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 I would probably make $130,000. Hey, Glenn, can you use an extra $130,000?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I figured, right? So most people could, and most people think that way, but that's short-term thinking. So you're going to get that $130,000. You're going to pay taxes on it. Maybe you'll pay, I don't know, $30,000 or $40,000 taxes out of that $130,000, and then now you have that money, and you still got to figure out what to do with that money. And maybe you invest it somewhere else. Maybe you spend it. Maybe you fix up your house. But in the end, you don't have the property, and you don't have the money anymore. So my suggestion is, if you buy a property, always buy it with the intent to rent it. Now, it's very rare that I sell properties that I own. It's very, very rare that I sell properties I own. I just keep buying, collecting them, and keep collecting the rent. And the more and more I collect rents, the more and more rents I collect, the more likely it is for me to never have to. I mean, first of all, I'm at the point where I don't have to worry about my money anymore. Anyway, I mean, I don't have to do this. I don't have to do this radio show. I don't have to do investor schooling. I don't have to do any of this. I do it because I really, really enjoy it. And the money I make for my real estate would allow me, if you want to call it retire. I hate that word because I think it's a dopey word. But if I wanted to retire, I would live a retirement lifestyle that's better than most people's retirement lifestyle if they work 30 years at a job from the rents I get. And then don't forget, those people who live off their pension or their retirement off of a job, those numbers don't go up much every year. If I was to do that, my numbers would go up because I could raise the rent every year. So that also makes sense. And I could also pull money out of the properties by refinancing the property. So it's so much better than any pension out there. The investment properties are so much better than any pension out there. So then we have the question, right? What's it like to be a landlord? What happens if somebody calls you in the middle of the night? Oh, my goodness. Hey, Glenn, you don't have any rental properties, do you?
No, but my parents do.
Okay, have they ever had, that's great, actually, that's a really great question. They probably never told you, but did they ever have a tenant call you up in the middle of the night at 2 o'clock in the morning and say, something's broken?
One of them had an emergency recently with a broken water heater or something. They may have called at some ungodly hour. I'm not sure.
Yeah, so was the water heater leaking, or was the water heater just stopped working?
Oh, no, it was like a whole thing. They had like a flood and everything.
Yeah, okay. And that's funny because in 41 years, that's happened to me twice where I've had floods, like crazy floods. And I'll tell you, that's the story I was actually going to say, one was, I don't know, 25 years ago, I think it was. And it was one time, and the water heater broke. Same thing, and I actually, they called me, and it was 2 o'clock in the morning, and I'm like, hello, this is whatever, Jane at 123 Main Street, whatever, right? There's water in the basement.
Is that what you sound like?
What's going on? And she goes, it looks like the water heater split. I'm like, oh my goodness, okay, do you know where the shutoff valve is, right? The water shutoff valve. She goes, maybe, and I told her where it was, and she shut it off. I said, all right, go to sleep. I'll have a plumber out there in the morning. I mean, that's the only time ever. Then I did have a flood where it was oh my goodness, this was a crazy one, where I owned 3 units in this building. It was condos, and the top unit that I owned, the guy put one of these sprayers on the toilet. What's it called? A bidet sprayer. and the thing broke because it was cheap. He
What?
wasn't home, and it flooded out 3 of my apartments. I could not believe this. But, I got a call. That was a 5 o'clock in the afternoon call, and there was nothing I could do. I had to displace the tenants and, and then work on the building and fix the building. It took me about 3 months to get them all back together. But that was the worst thing that's ever happened to me, and it's not so bad. I mean, I had 3 units trashed, and it wasn't so bad. And I'm even going to tell you that I didn't even have insurance on those units. So I had to pay for it out of my pocket. It cost me about $50,000. But I'll tell you, that's the worst thing that's happened to me in 41 years of investing. So it's not so bad. I mean, some people would cry and say, oh, no, what am I going to do? You know what? Just go on, fix it. Who cares? I got a $50,000 tax deduction that year anyway. So that helped as well. And that, that also lowers my cost basis on this property. So who cares? It is what it is. I ran them back out. Matter of fact, the tenants, 2 of the tenants moved, 1 stayed, came back to it, I should say, and the other 2 left, and now I get $400 a month more for both of those units because they're being completely renovated. So in the end, it all works out anyway. So being a landlord is not difficult. It's not hard. Probably the hardest thing to do is screening tenants, and I don't mean hard to screen tenants. It's actually very easy to screen tenants. But when you have an empty unit, you have to go and meet the tenant at the unit and say, okay, potential tenant at the unit, and say, okay, great, let's talk about you being a tenant. And I've automated most of that to the point where I can have a conversation with them, and I know and I know they're a good tenant or not. So it's not a big deal. I've been doing this for 41 years. I've had hundreds and hundreds of tenants, and I often tell the story that I only ran 3 credit checks in my entire life because that's how I can read people so well. Now, I don't recommend that for everybody. Not everybody can do that. Not everybody understands how to do it. But if you come to investor schooling, we also teach you how to screen tenants the proper way. In fact, I'll tell you what, if you guys want to take a look at this, and you can if you want to, when I have a tenant, if I feel I need to do a credit check on them, I actually have a website, rentfromlarry.com, and it's actually, you can do this yourself. It's just a URL pointing to another website, which is a company that does the tenant screening for me, and the tenant pays the cost for it. So it's actually pretty neat where I don't have to pay for it. So if I think if I have a questionable tenant, I go, okay, go to rentfromlarry.com, fill out the form, pay your $30, and if it comes to me and it's a good credit, we'll talk more. So I don't even have to do it. It's that easy. So if you want to check that out, you can check that out too. But I'll tell you what, we're going to go to commercial right now because I need some water. So take us out, Glenn. This is Larry Steinhouse with Investor Schooling.
You're clear.
Thanks. Great Reset? Well, the Great Reset won't apply to those who own real assets. At Investor Schooling, we teach you how to own real assets like real estate, gold, silver, and other investments, including stocks, stock options, and even the basics of cryptocurrency. We even teach you how to pay thousands less in taxes legally. So go to investorschooling.com and find out how you can attend a complimentary class this Thursday. investorschooling.com. This is Larry Steinhouse, and you have probably heard my radio shows and listened to my great advice on how you can make more money and pay less taxes. Well, I just finished writing a book on all things I teach at Investor Schooling and on my radio shows. This book is called Money Hacks, and you want a copy of this book, and you can pre-order.
Hey, Larry.
Yeah. I'm digging this music, man. I like it a lot. It's awesome. All right. I'm Larry Steinhouse, and welcome back to Investor Schooling Live. Hey, I'm so excited we have so much fun on Saturdays. I do this show. Sometimes we're on at 2 o'clock. Sometimes we're on at 10 o'clock. It all depends on what PhD schedule is like. I like the 10 o'clock show better, and I only like it because I got my afternoon to myself where I don't have to interrupt my day. But we can't have that time all the time, so it is what it is. So it's either 10 o'clock or 2 o'clock. I hope you guys enjoy this show a lot. We actually have Lucas online saying, thanks for being a pioneer. I don't know if I'm exactly a pioneer. I don't know, and maybe you guys. Oh, I actually realized I'm wearing my Ultra MAGA hat. I just looked at the camera. I'm wearing my Ultra MAGA hat, so I probably lost half the viewers on on TV. What's that?
Oh my God!
I know,
Oh
isn't
my
that terrible
God!
that I'm wearing an Ultra MAGA hat. I think it's so funny that Biden created that term. I think it's like every time he talks about MAGA people, he just fires up Trump's base. It's hysterical, and everything they do to try to knock him down brings him back up. It's hysterical. It really is. It's so funny. They even have it real quick. They even have the. I don't know if you guys read this recently. There's some woman. I don't have the article in front of me, but somebody in New York is trying to prosecute Trump for fraud, and it's basically bank fraud. And I actually did a report on this on my other show a couple of days ago, and I found this to be one of the funniest things. So here's the story. So they're basically saying that Trump overinflated his assets to get loans from banks. Now, they didn't say he's not paying the banks back. They didn't say that there was, that there was any proof that he overinflated them. They're just saying that he overinflated them so he can get more money from the bank in loans. Now, I'm going to tell you something. I kind of think that if he goes to a bank, that, one or two of these banks might actually know something about lending, and they might actually say, hey, we really appreciate you valuing your $25 million building at $25 million. But we'd like to do an appraisal. Is that okay? Oh, sure. Because, I'm sure that, like every other bank, they do an appraisal. And they say, and if they come back and it's only worth $20 million, they say, Mr. Trump, we're really sorry, but your building's only worth $20 million. We can only give you this much money instead. So if he says it's worth $25 million and the bank agrees that it's worth $25 million and lends on that building because of that, well, who's committing bank fraud? Him or the bank? I just found that absolutely hysterical. Just one of those crazy things that the Democrats are trying to do to discredit Trump. And I don't know. Look, whether you like Trump, don't like Trump, I don't care. It's just funny that these people will actually go to these lengths to try to discredit him. And what do you think it does? It fires up his base even more. I mean, I wish I would have heard Biden use the phrase Ultra MAGA, because I would have bought ultramaga.com in a second if I would have heard him use that. It was just too late by the time I heard it, because sometimes I watch that stuff on repeats when I do to do research. But if I would have heard it, I would have bought that website. That website's probably worth $100,000 or $200,000 just for the name. Forget about if you actually put something on it and try to sell something on it. It's probably worth it. I actually bought Chump for Trump because he said all the Trump fans are chumps. So I bought Chump for Trump, but that one didn't catch on. Of course, the one that I buy doesn't catch on, but it is what it is. So, what did you have a question for me in the break, Glenn? I forgot what it was already. Did I lose Glenn? Oh well, that's fine. Hey, by the way,
taking a call, Larry.
Oh, that's good. I like calls. And if you want to call in, 855-939-1137, 855-939-1137. You can call in. You can talk about money. You can talk about stock market. You can talk about houses. You can talk about just about anything you want. You can even talk about Trump if you want to, or Mastriano, or Dr. Oz, or any of those people that I personally endorsed. Anytime you'd like to, as long as they don't call in, because if they call in, I get in trouble. All right, and I did go to Dr. Oz lunch last week, and that was a great lunch. All right, so if anybody wants to call in, 855-939-1137, 855-939-1137. All right, so one of the things that I teach a lot is buying properties with no money. Now, it's funny because if you've never done this before, the first thing that goes through your mind is, that's impossible. How can you buy properties with no money? The banks won't lend you 100%. They won't lend you 110%, and the answer is you're absolutely correct. They won't lend you 100%, at least not at first. They won't lend you, and when I say at first, I mean when you first buy the property, they won't lend you 100%. You have to learn how to use private money or learn how to buy properties with creative financing from sellers. Look, I told you guys that I'm buying 3 properties this coming month in October. I'm buying 3 properties. Two of them are they're not, one is a single family home, not a single family, but it's not a row house, a twin, and the other one is a condo. And total out of my pocket for both of those properties, and it's funny because I could do it for less, but total out of my pocket is $10,000 for those two properties. I'm also buying a commercial building worth probably somewhere near $500,000, and that's going to cost me probably around $8,000 out of my pocket at total. So for less than $20,000 out of my pocket, I'm buying 3 cash flowing investment properties that are going to make me money. They're going to be great properties. So if you want to learn how to do it, do it. Now, if you say, no, I could never learn how to do that, you're absolutely wrong. Look, I might be a smart guy, but I guarantee you that, people I know are not anywhere near as smart as me, and they're doing this. And I guarantee you that the people nowhere near as smart as you are doing this all the time. And they're making lots more money than you because they took the chance to learn how to do it. And to take the chance to learn how to do it is really, really simple. I'm telling you, just go to investorschooling.com and you can take the chance to learn how to do it anytime. And when you do it, it works. So what's the worst thing that can happen? The worst thing that can happen is it doesn't work, and you don't make money, and you get to try again. Who cares? Don't worry about it. You could sit here and you could worry about your credit rating, by the way, which is ridiculous. By the way, if you read my book, Money Hacks, and it has a subtitle called Because Everything You Think You Know About Money Is Wrong, one of the things you need to stop doing is stop associating your credit score with your self-worth. It's crazy. My credit score will actually vary anywhere from 600 to 750, and I can manipulate that score from 600 to 750 within 30 days at any one time. And I do it all the time, actually. The only time I ever have a 640 credit score or 650 credit score, 750 credit score, is when I actually need to go to a bank, and that's very rare. It's very rare that I go to banks to get money. Matter of fact, if you're one of my students, you actually watch this happen in I think it was November, the beginning of November. I said, I'm going to refinance 10 of my properties. I actually ended up refinancing 13 of my properties, but I'm going to refinance 10 of my properties at 3.5%. And the only way the bank will approve it is if my credit score is 740 or above. So I went to look up on Credit Karma, and I showed everybody online that my score at the time was 620. And they're like, how are you going to get your credit score up to 750? Actually, 740 is all I needed to get to 740. And I said, I'm going to do it in 3 weeks. And everybody in class was like, wow. And I actually showed them how I did it. I showed them how I was able to make the score go up to 740 in 3 weeks. And don't think you could do this unless you have prepared for it in the past. You have to learn how to prepare for it. It may take you a year or two to learn how to prepare for it, but once you prepare for it, it's easy. You can do it any time. And that's what I did. I changed my credit score to 740. I got those loans, and then my credit score, I don't care what it is right now. I don't even know what it is right now. It's less than 7, I'm sure. But it doesn't matter because I don't care. I'm not going to bank for loans anymore. I don't need the loans. Most of the time I get money from private lenders, but in this case, I knew that 3.5%, I was never going to see it again in my lifetime. You're never going to see it again in your lifetime again. 5 and 6% is going to become the low norm, and you'll probably be getting houses at 7 or 8% interest rates would probably be the norm, and 9 and 10 will be the high. So expect that coming. It's definitely coming. In fact, it should have never been as low as it was, and the Fed rate should never have been 0. And even if it was 0, even for a minor little speck of a time, they should have been raising interest rates for the last 6 to 8 years. And because they didn't do it, we are now in this mess that we're in now, which is the Fed raising interest rates, destroying the stock market, destroying the housing market, destroying everyone's lives just so they can tame inflation. I don't understand. It's kind of a tough thing to understand, too. It's really hard to understand when you're like, okay, they're destroying our lives, trying to prevent ourselves from destroying our lives. It's what I said the other day. I think Jerome Powell is in competition to be more hated than Dr. Fauci, right? Let's destroy everybody's lives to keep them from getting a cold that might kill them. I mean, seriously, that's what it was all about then. And now it's all about let's destroy everybody's lives to keep them from having hyperinflation. Well, hyperinflation would be a really bad thing. I'll explain the difference in a minute. We're having some serious inflation, which is what we're having now, which is 8 and 9% inflation. That will make it difficult for, somebody to buy milk and somebody to buy groceries. I get it. So just real quick. So hyperinflation is a crazy thing. Most economies, most fiat currencies, so we have a fiat currency called the U.S. dollar, most fiat currencies collapse under what's called hyperinflation. Now, I don't believe we're heading for hyperinflation, but let me give you an example of hyperinflation. Hyperinflation is, and I can't remember what country this was in. I just don't remember off the top of my head, but somebody would literally buy a cup of coffee and pay $5 for it, and by the time they drank that coffee, it would cost the next person $10, and the next day it would be $20. That's hyperinflation. When you have hyperinflation, economies crash, fiat currency goes to zero, and the economy has to start all over again. And I honestly, I just don't remember which that was. It was in the 70s. That was the biggest example, or the worst example of hyperinflation ever. And of course, the economy collapsed completely there. So when you have people like Jerome Powell trying to stop that or slow down inflation, I get it, but we're not at hyperinflation. Look, a Big Mac. I did something called a Big Mac report the other day in one of my shows, and a Big Mac is now $6. And that's a lot of money. I get it. It's a lot of money. And when you go to McDonald's and you spend $10 on, on a burger, fries, and a Coke, you're like, wait a minute. I used to spend $5 on this. I used to spend $2 on this. I mean, I remember a commercial when I was younger, when I was a kid. I remember the commercial. You can go to McDonald's. You can get a hamburger, fries, and a Coke for under $1. Hamburger, fries, and a Coke for under $1. And that was the commercial I remembered. And it's funny because, all these old people like myself, boomers they call us, right? Say stuff like that. Oh, Mike online just told me what it was. It was Zimbabwe. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, Zimbabwe.
Larry.
Yeah, Zimbabwe. Right.
Larry, McDonald's actually used to have an ad, I guess it was going back to the 60s, maybe late 50s, where they would say, you could feed your whole family for $5 and still get some change.
Oh, yeah. I remember that. Right, exactly. Right. I remember that. Exactly. Yeah, that was the other ad. Right. There was the one was under $1 and the other one was down. I remember that as well. Sure. It wasn't the 50s because I remember watching it. I remember seeing that ad when I was a kid, too. That same ad.
Wow.
So I know you said somebody called. Nobody called?
No, they did call. They wanted to. Here's the thing. They wanted to confirm the number because they were giving it to someone else. And they said, you're not giving the number enough. They said, he's not giving the number. He's chattering.
Because, all right, ready? All right, everybody stop, listen, take out your phone, and start dialing. 855-939-1137. 855-939-1137. 855-939-1137. Remember Bob Grant on the radio? He used to say that you had to give out the number 7 times in a row in order for people to call. So that was 3 or 4. I think that was 4. 855-939-1137. 855-939-1137. 855-939-1137. All right, I'm channeling you, Bob Grant. Let's see if it works. 855-939-1137, just in case. All right, according to Bob Grant, that phone should be ringing right now. I guess not.
Not yet. I worked with Bob Grant's son. Did I tell you that?
No.
Yeah, I actually worked with it. His son was a news guy at a radio station I worked at. And that guy seemed like he was quick side note, he was one of the most tense guys I ever met.
Who, Bob Grant?
And I thought to myself,
son?
Probably from being Bob Grant's son.
Bob Grant's son, yeah. Well, can you imagine being Mike, what the hell's his name? The guy who's always yelling.
Mad Dog?
No, he's also on PhD. He's on at 6, I think, right after Hannity.
Oh, Mark Levine.
Mark Levine, yeah.
I get anxious just listening to him.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, whoa. He's rough. See, it didn't work,
have to
Bob.
wonder if he's...
Bob, you're up there. You could at least help me out here. I listened to you. I was a loyal listener. I listened to you. I'm talking about you, and you can at least help me out there and tell somebody to call. 855-939-1137. Hey, maybe it's an old Bob Grant fan that would call. Are there any, could you imagine anybody being a Bob Grant fan that's less than 50 at this point? And then there was also Irv Homer on PhD, which is another one, which was not PhD, that was WDB. That's right. All right. 855-939-1137.
You've got Joe in Berlin.
Who?
Joe in Berlin.
I don't know who that is.
Well, do you want to talk to him?
Wait, what did you just say? Maybe I missed what you said.
Oh, I'm saying you have a call from Joe in Berlin if you'd like to take it.
So I do have a call. So it did work.
Yes.
All right, put Joe on.
Yes, you've got all kinds of calls coming in. Get ready.
All right, here we go. What's up, Joe?
Good morning, Larry.
How are you, man?
Good morning. Fine, thank you. First, I'm Joe from Berwyn, Philadelphia suburbs, the main line. How are you?
Very good.
Okay. Good. I am a home builder, and you used the word private money.
Right.
And when I get off the phone, I certainly want to talk to you about getting your book. That's a whole other interest to me. But that being said, do you believe, and I agree with you with the reality, interest rates are going to be where you're projecting them. Do you believe our private money obviously will have to be offered to those investors at even a higher rate than it is currently today?
Probably. Don't tell my lenders that are coming up.
That's right. That's right. Well, that's correct. Now here's my thought on it, if I may, please. I think personally, and I'm 62. Some of the investors are gentlemen that are in, automatic distributions of the retirement funds. They have to take money out and they've got to park it somewhere. And a lot of us at this age are getting a little more conservative, and basically they don't know what to do with their money. So I'm a home builder in real estate, and the key, as far as I'm concerned, is if I can and all I do is new construction, building, new homes, luxury homes. And if I can show an investor in his 60s who has to withdraw money, I can show him to park it with us if I can produce a pre-sale home, one home, pre-sold, buyer approved for a mortgage, and we're in and out of a transaction in the building time of a year.
So you ready for this,
there's an
Joe?
exit strategy.
I got a better one for you.
Please.
So instead of you're
Please.
saying, and what you sounds like what you're talking about is the required minimum distributions in IRAs that they have to take, correct?
Yes.
So what they can do is they can lend you money from their IRA, have you pay back the IRA in interest-only payments, and they could withdraw that interest-only payment, and that becomes a required minimum distribution, so the money never actually leaves their IRA.
Oh, boy, I'd really like to get more detail on that.
What are you doing Thursday night?
I really would.
What are you doing Thursday night?
Where are you?
So
where are you?
We're in Langhorne, Pennsylvania. We're not far from you at all, and it'll be worth the trip, I promise.
Okay.
I don't know what we're going to be teaching, but you.
All right. I wasn't aware of it. That's a done deal. How do I get where? At a hotel or a seminar or something like that?
Yeah, just go to investorschooling.com and you can sign up right there. Go to investorschooling.com and you can sign up. Look, Joe, I'm really looking forward to seeing you. I have two other callers and we got 10 minutes, so I want to get to these guys.
Go ahead, do your thing. Investorschool.com.
Investorschooling, ING. Investorschooling.com.
Okay.
All right, Joe, I'm looking forward to seeing you. And
appreciate it. I will be there. Thank you.
You got it, man. All right, we got Sean.
Thank you kindly.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. What's going on, Sean?
Hey, how you doing, Larry? I just wanted to find out where I get your book.
All right, so you can go to Amazon or BarnesandNoble.com or anywhere else. Just look up Money Hacks by Larry Steinhouse. Money Hacks by Larry Steinhouse. It's a big, bright orange book, and I guarantee you're going to like the book. I guarantee It's a great book.
Okay, well, I'd love to learn how to move that store around a little bit. Thank you.
Learn to move what?
Move the score around.
Oh, okay. Well, let's do it. We'll oh, yeah, you definitely. My book. Actually, I have a whole chapter dedicated. I actually really have two chapters dedicated to credit. One completely dedicated to credit scores and understanding how credit scores work, because no one knows how credit scores work. It's funny. I talk to mortgage brokers, and they're like, "Oh, yeah, well, credit scores work like this." I go, "No, you're completely wrong." And then I actually tell them exactly how it works. They go, "Oh, I always wondered how that worked." I'm like, "It's funny." All right, man. I appreciate it, man. And take a look at that. But why don't you come to the class?
Thank you.
I did a whole class on credit scores 2 weeks ago.
Well, I just heard about your investor school, and I'll sign up and see what we can do.
Awesome, man. We're looking forward to seeing you. Let me know when you come in. Let me know that we spoke on the radio.
Awesome. Will do.
You got it, man. Thanks so much. All right, we got Jewel. It looks like Jewel in Gardenville. What's going on, Jewel?
Hi. I can't attend your seminar because I just had surgery, but I'm due for a settlement from my divorce finally. The house was in my name only. There was a long battle getting this settled. October 11th, it's supposed to happen, and my ex is supposed to buy me out. And I've been told that I have to reinvest the money that I get from there within 2 years. Otherwise, I have to pay capital gains. And right now, I'm renting. So I'm looking at, do I have to buy something? I don't even know where I want to buy it at this point. But do you have any suggestions as to where to set that money while I?
Who told you how to pay capital gains?
I think my attorney.
Well, I think your attorney needs to stop giving financial advice and stick to legal advice. So
Cool.
here's a question: Did you get more than $250,000 worth of profit from that house?
Just under.
Okay, guess what? You don't have to pay
What?
anything. Isn't that awesome?
Okay, so the rule is over 250.
Yeah, so
Over 250 profit.
right. So if you're single, 250 profit, anything over anything 250 or less, you pay no capital gains on. If you're married, anything 500 or less, you pay no capital gains on. It's very possible that that because you were still married and you were not divorced, you probably have the 500,000 exclusion anyway. But at the same time, just double check with your accountant because I'm pretty sure you fall into that rule. Now, at the same time, if you're getting that much money, you might want to figure out what to do with it. There's a lot of places to put your money that are safer than the stock market right now. I teach the stock market. Stock market is risky, and if you wanted to, you could learn those as well. We do have classes online, by the way. So if you want to take classes online, you can do that as well. You can go to investorschooling.com. Just say that you're not local. I mean, in your case, you can't make it here because of surgery, but eventually, maybe we'll get to meet you. And if you wanted to do that, you could do that as well. So just go to investorschooling.com, right?
Yeah.
And you'll click all the way at the bottom. It's a smaller link, and it says if you're not local, click here.
And I just want to say the credit reporting business is such a racket.
Oh, of course.
I've been
absolutely.
so burned.
Well, the
So,
credit burn.
that's
The credit reporting business is not as much of a racket than the credit repair business. The credit repair business is a complete racket.
There you go. Okay,
Yeah,
great. Okay, well, thank you very much, Larry, and I'll go online and see what we can do. And I'm enjoying your show. Thank you very much.
I really appreciate you.
Mhm.
All right.
Okay, take care. Bye.
Take care. Bye. Hey, you know what?
See that?
You know what, Glenn?
See
I'm
what
actually
happens
amazed.
when you give the number?
Bob Grant came through to me. Everybody say one Hail Mary for Bob Grant.
Ooh.
So there you go. It's a good thing that person called and told you that I wasn't giving the number away enough, which is very funny that they told you that I wasn't giving the number away enough, but they didn't want to talk to me.
Well, they said that that was their daughter, the last woman who called.
Oh, is that what it was?
Their-
Okay. I got
Yeah,
it.
the original caller said they wanted to give your number to their daughter so they could call.
Got
that
it,
was the
got
last caller. Anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, good work. See, you were right.
It's amazing, right? All right, you ready? We got 3 minutes. I'm only going to give the number out 3 times, so maybe we'll have half as many callers. How's that? Does it work that way?
Maybe.
855-939-1137. 855-939-1137. 855-939-1137. We got all these people on Facebook and YouTube and LinkedIn watching. We actually have more people on LinkedIn watching this time than we have on Facebook. That's really unusual. So anyway, we got all these people. So you guys can call too. I wouldn't be surprised if you guys don't have a cell phone or do have a cell phone or whatever, and you can call me at 855-939-1137 right now and give me a call. All right. So, what do you think is going to happen next, Glenn, in the world?
I think the housing market might implode.
Yeah. So that's a really interesting point. So when you say implode, so we had 2008. Remember 2008?
Yeah, I was working at Bloomberg News at the time.
Right, and we had, so let's say if somebody bought a house for $500,000, it could have gone down to as low as $300,000. But here's the interesting part: that house that was $300,000 then might have taken till, I don't know, maybe taken 15 years to get back to the $500,000, but it did. So there's a difference, and I said this before when we first started the show. There's a difference between a house you're living in and an investment property. If it's a house you're living in, it doesn't matter as long as you can pay that mortgage payment and you feel comfortable paying that mortgage payment and you're fine with it. Eventually, that house is going to go back up in value. You'll be fine. You don't have to sell it at a loss. But if it's an investment property, if you bought it for speculation, you're going to lose your shirt. And that goes back to what I said in the beginning too. As long as the numbers work, I have properties I have millions and millions and millions of dollars worth of properties, right? I don't care what they're worth. I don't care any one day what they're worth. Sometimes I look at Zillow. Sometimes I look at Zillow, and Zillow gives me the Zestimate, whatever they call their Zestimate. And, everybody knows that Zillow's numbers aren't very accurate anyway. But, even if they're 10% off or 15% off from the neighborhood and they're showing me 15% higher, I still look at the prices and I go, wow, I can't believe that property's worth that much money. And then every once in a while I actually say to myself, maybe I should sell. And I'm like, nah, I'm not going to sell it. All right, look, we got Mark. See, that was half the callers. We got Mark. What's going on, Mark?
Hey, Larry, I just wanted to tell you that by you advertising the number so many times, it absolutely works. And I just wanted to go out and say you're doing a great job. I love listening to you. I'm glad you're on 10 o'clock. I try to follow you if you're on later, but just want to say you have a great show. I really enjoy listening to it.
Hey, Mark, are you into politics?
Well, you really got me excited when you said about your mega hat you have on, so that really excited me. So that's why I really wanted to call.
That's right. Are you on Facebook at all?
Yeah, I am, but I don't publish my political views on air.
No, that's okay. What I'm going to suggest everyone do is go to Facebook and like Money Chat Now. It's a show I do daily at 7:30 in the morning, every morning. Money Chat Now. And I promise you, if you like this show, you're going to really like that show. That show,
I'm going to do it right now.
I really express myself politically, and I put a combination of that with what's going on in the stock market. So if anybody out there wants to watch the show, Money Chat Now, it's a great show. It used to be on the radio too, but we fired the other radio station because they were incompetent. So we fired them. So now we're only on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, and we have lots of followers. We have people watch it all day long, and you can watch it anytime. You can watch the repeats anytime. But again, if you want to watch it live, you can interact on Facebook as well. So just go to Money Chat Now. Should I say Money Chat Now 7 times? Would that work?
You probably should, and I'll tell you have more people supporting what you believe in than you think. So keep it up.
I appreciate
You're doing
it.
a great job,
man. And thanks for being a fan. I really appreciate it.
All right.
Thanks, Mark.
You got it. You take care. Keep up the good work. See you.
Thanks. All right, so everybody else, Money Chat Now. It's called Money Chat Now. It's on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube. Just look it up, Money Chat Now. We also have a Spotify channel, and you can go to Spotify and you can subscribe to the channel there. Money Chat Now. I promise you will like it. But more importantly, come visit me. Come get to know me. Go to class on Thursday. Go to investorschooling.com. Sign up for class. You will have a really good time. I promise you it will be awesome. I also want to thank our in-house producer, Mike Kuiper, and I also want to thank our producer at WPHT who told me to invoke Bob Grant. And don't forget, that's Glenn Page. And don't forget, go to investorschooling.com.
This program is paid for by Investor Schooling. All opinions are statements.
You're clear. Hang on one second.
Sure.